All right, so this is just a bonus video to kind of talk about the why behind some of the things that we're going to do in this course. You're going to notice that a lot of the techniques in here are going to be done differently from right side to left side of the body. We're going to be stretching and turning off muscles on the right side a little bit different than we do on the left side. We're going to be holding certain hand or arm positions that are not symmetrical. And so the majority of this school of thought comes from the Postural Restoration Institute. And their whole thing is understanding natural human asymmetry. Now, as human beings, we all share this natural human asymmetry that kind of patterns us to be a little bit more on our right side. This is due to organ weight, certain muscles being bigger on the right side versus the left side and vice versa, and along with a couple other factors. So we have to treat the right and the left side of the body a little bit different. So when you're going through this course and you're starting to notice that we only stretch the right lat and not the left side, well, that's kind of the whole science behind it, is we're trying to respect the different musculature asymmetries and neurological patterns that all human beings share. All right, so the first thing that we want to be able to do is be able to create a good stack. And now the stack is really just a term that refers being able to get the rib cage and the pelvis into a position where pressure of the abdomen can be exchanged a little bit more effectively. So the stack is essentially just being able to bring these two structures in alignment with one another, okay? When we have that, then we have our respiratory diaphragm in the rib cage and our pelvic floor diaphragm in a position where they can start to exchange gases, pressure, and fluids a little bit more effectively. So when we're talking about shoulder mobility, we also have to talk about the rib cage, because what the shoulder or the scapula does has to be fluid with how the rib cage changes shape. So here's just like a little example, an analogy that I like to use to explain this. So if your rib cage is more of this convex structure, where your scapula is more of this concave structure, those two things sit on top of each other very well. That allows the scapula to be able to move across different excursions of the rib cage. And, we have to talk about anterior compression. That's a whole other thing too. But just as an example, if I, let's say, start to get a lot of pressure, tension, and stiffness in these back ribs, what that's going to do is it's going to throw my posture and my spine into a little bit more spinal extension. So now I have two concave structures, and two concave structures don't really complement each other very well. So in order for us to be able to restore motion at the shoulder blade, we have to be able to get the intra-abdominal pressure first. That looks kind of like the front ribs kind of coming down a little bit. And then being able to take the parts of our rib cage that are compressed, holding that pressure and being able to expand the ribs. Okay, now as far as the scapula example goes, that's that congruency starting to come back into alignment, and that allows the shoulder to move a little bit more effectively. Now, when we're talking about hip mobility, because we are going to be going over a lot of hip mobility stuff in this course as well, if I want to be able to create a certain shape here at the hip, let's say I want to achieve more internal rotation of the femur and the hip socket, then I need to get the acetabulum to go into more anteversion. Okay, when I have more anteversion of the acetabulum, then I can achieve internal rotation of the femur a little bit more effectively. Let's say I want a little bit more ability to externally rotate and hip abduction, then I want to create what's called retroversion. And that's going to create this external rotation of the innominate and counternutation of the sacrum. All this is really just to say that when we want to restore shoulder and hip mobility, we have to respect these structures that are the closest to the spine, aka the ribs, aka the innominate bones, and how they relate to being able to regulate pressure and gas within the thorax.